Hello and welcome to the Temple of Nuit Libran New Moon Eclipse. My name is Evonne Wildheart and I am recording this on the dark moon on the 2nd of October 2024 at 10 p.m. in the afternoon. So very much in the portal. Let's bring up the chart for this Libran New Moon Eclipse happening at 10 degrees of Libra, as you can see here. So Libra is cardinal air. It's how, um, how you and I come together and develop new ideas and maybe help bring a new storyline to how we do relationships. It's it's the scales, it's the balance, and how do we do that while still honoring ourselves and each other? This really is feeling like this energy of remembering synergy. Yes, we have sovereignty, especially with Black Moon Lilith here, which we'll talk about in a minute, but also we can have sovereignty. But if we all had sovereignty and just thought of ourselves, the scales would be unbalanced. And so, how do we come together now and really think of, yes, still holding each other's, sovereignty, but also bringing synergy to the group? This is a new moon to really invite the mind hive. How do we work together in cohesive and workable relationships where everybody is honored for their gifts and also so no one feels left out in the cold, that brings an imbalance to the situation. So it's a big eclipse. So, in this dark moon portal is that letting go of what no longer serves in relationships. Where is there no synergy? Where are where isn't the hive mind honored? Where are you giving your energy to where it's not honored? But also, how are you not honoring other people's energy? And really thinking of not just ourselves but other, and how it's like looking through a mirror. And the scale is Libra is, there's two sides of the story here. There's two elements of that we need to consider. It is a social sign, Libra, um but it's like, how do we bring balance where we can all come together and work cohesively and honoring each other in the process? It's something that we're not taught. Our patriarchal programming has taught us that such a divide and conquer separation, and to really make what I would call like a narcissistic culture where everybody's out for themselves. Like the programming has pushed us and moved us that way, that real competitive edge, which is the Aries. The Aries, is the, and I'm just thinking of a race. So Aries is the opposite where the North Node is. So, Aries would be the one, everybody's at the starting line, and Aries would almost push each other out of the way. This is a wounded Aries, push each other out of the way to be first. It's wants to be the leader, it's the spark. But this new moon is calling us to look at where are things out of balance, where, to make everything work together in preparation to go down and take that information down into Scorpio season. With the South Node here, being a South Node eclipse, it's that, what do we need to let go of for that synergy to take place? And it really is going to involve looking at our own stuff as well. It's like we can't move through and expect other people to show up in the way that we want without looking at our own stuff first. And this is what I think Black Moon Lilith is here to show us. So this symbol here is Black Moon Lilith. This is a mean Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, the point of itself moves quite erratically. So to get this mean point, this center point where she's, her energies feels like drawn into the vortex center there. Black Moon Lilith, she was the first wife of Adam. She would not be subservient to Adam's needs. He really wanted her to lay beneath him, and she said no. And this takes courage. She stood up and said no, and she left the Garden of Eden. dragon. And by doing that, she was demonized and outcast. Now, I do wonder, how much conversation did Lilith have with Adam in to get to that point when she had to leave for her own, protection. You know, who knows, like what myth that is. But it's interesting having Mercury here that's calling for these deep conversations of honesty and, before making big decisions that is going to involve the hive group. So it's again that thinking of our own sovereignty and our own sense of, I got to look after me, but also we need the courage. And this is what the Black Moon Lilith and I think Mercury here is calling us to have these hard conversations with honesty and but love and compassion as well. Which is that Venus ruled Libra is calling, bringing us in. And the South Node is in the Libra, is in the Venus decan of Libra, is that, within the first 10 degrees. It's here at 6 degrees. And also it's interesting that Venus has already had this conversation with the South Node with Black Moon Lilith in preparation for this new moon eclipse. Now, this is not new information. What might be coming up in this new moon eclipse portal may probably is not new. We've been journeying Libra and eclipses since October last year, and the energy will continue to play out next year because we're going to have the opposite, the North Node Aries eclipse at the end of March next year. And this will continue because it's really interesting because we've had a Pisces, like the new area of which the nodes will move into in the next couple of years. Already we've had a Piscean full moon eclipse, which was 2 weeks ago, sort of stirring things up in this new, and it feels like there's a thread here between the old and the new, and it will continue to do that. So I don't think this is the end of the conversation, but it certainly is a very important part to step in and find that courage to say, hey, listen, what happened here, and you're thinking of the past, bringing things up from the past to be reworked over and having these big conversations that are needing to bring not only sovereignty but also synergy. I just really think synergy is such a very big important part of this Libran new moon eclipse. And just thinking the bees are very active here on this land at the moment. It's, we're just past equinox, spring equinox down here in Victoria anyway. And that energy of how do we work together to move forward? There's lots of swarming coming on. It's like working together, moving forward. But to do that, we're going to have to leave something behind. We have to leave like the old home or the old things behind to be able to move forward. And this is where Black Moon Lilith is here, calling us to have courage. Her glyph is also the sickle. She's sitting there cutting things away as well. Like, I don't need that. We can't take that with us. We can't take the old storylines where, we weren't working together in harmony. Thinking of Libra and bringing harmony, like it's just really cutting away the old timelines that don't serve, so we can move forward where everybody is honored and everybody is heard and held in their own truth. There's many truths. We all have a truth version of whatever happened in the past. Like, we all have it. But do we have the courage to sit and listen and speak to it, knowing that, that we all have a different perspective, and to hold all the perspectives at once, which is the center of the scales in with this. Kidneys rule, Libra rules the kidneys, which in its unhealed version is fear. And I guess this is where Black Moon Lilith is here, calling us to step into courage and release the fears and the bondage of fears, because fears can hold us back from so much, especially when it comes to confronting the people that we love in relationships for something that doesn't feel equal. But I think what we're being called here to do is keep the ears of our heart open and to really listen to another perspective, remembering that we're here in a social sign at an eclipse and listening to what is being hidden, because it's an eclipse, like the sun is actually hidden from view. The eclipse is happening over the Pacific, into South America, which is interesting. Usually where eclipses are hitting, there's something that will come up in the news within the next 6 months in that area. Um, and so just holding that multiple perspectives to be able to then in as we move into Scorpio season at the end of October in the next new moon cycle, that we can take it and transform it into the deep, which is still a social sign. Scorpio is still a social sign. So we're still dealing with how you and I come together and how we work together, but we're going deeper with that. Element. So this is really, it really feels like a big turning point of, make or break in relationships, make or break in whether that's work relationships, whether that's, partner, lovers, relationship, whether, any type of relationship, friend relationships, one-on-one. And it's just that, how do we do relationship? It could even be relationship with the earth. And, we're, again, that patriarchal program of taking and taking and taking from the earth. But what are we doing to give back to create a synergetic, is that even a word, synergetic? It sounds right to me. This harmonious relationship with earth, with, that reciprocity of giving and receiving, because the earth just gives us so much. She just so willingly gives her bountiful magic and her bountiful beauty. But what and how we giving back to that to bring a harmonious relationship? Because we know when things are out of balance, that's when the wheels, that's when it really starts to, everybody starts to suffer in that. Doesn't matter what side you're on. So calling in for harmonious relationships at this eclipse, and really having the courage to step forward and being able to release and bring up and speak to those, or those relationships, in trusting with the ears of our heart, knowing that everybody has a story, knowing that we all have different truths or versions of our stories, and to be able to hold it all with that Venus in Libra, compassion and love and beauty way. But to get to that point, it's like it always comes back to know yourself, Aries self, and I think this is where the North Node, which is opposite to here, is calling us, know thyself, know yourself. So, because when we know ourselves, we are able to come back and see and hold each other in with more love and compassion, because we know, fuck, is this coming up for me? I've had this journey, I've had this storyline in my life where this happened and this happened. What's happening for the other person? We're able to view a more holistic perspective when we know ourselves more. And also we can feel if we are getting triggered and being able to remedy that before it is projected on someone else. And so to know thyself, the North Node is calling us to look at that, look at our woundings, look at Chiron. Chiron is here too. And it's really interesting as we're talking about this. This is a setup for the Aries new moon that will happen later on in October, which is a really big moon, and it's on Chiron. So, to be aware of that, and if we can look at our own woundings now in this dark moon and letting it go, and calling in, harmonious relationships or synergy. I love that word synergy, because it's not just harmonious, it's everybody playing their part and their role equally, and knowing that we all have a role and honoring each other for that role. So whatever relationships are out of balance, letting it go, but it also comes back to knowing ourselves, knowing our own stuff, knowing, what triggers our own wounding. So we are not projecting onto others, which is what this Chiron and North Node are calling us to do. What are the woundings within you? Where do you project? And that comes back to sovereignty. So we can't be fully sovereign until we know ourselves fully. And that relates back to relationships. Oh, yeah, and just I'm just feeling that bouncing back and forth from self to other and other to self. But it starts within us. This is where that North Node is saying, this is where it starts. This is where we need to go to look at our own stuff, look at how what we are doing might be, especially around projection, our own woundings. Where are we doing that? And then applying that and saying, oh, I can see how I've done that. And this takes courage. It's big work. It's big work. And this is also the end of the Pluto work. This is Pluto in Capricorn, calling us to finalize whatever has been brought up since 2008. This is it. The next 4 weeks, to bring up hidden secrets of what actually has been happening in the Capricorn areas of your chart so we can see it, but hold it with love and compassion, knowing that we're all on a journey. We're all like trying to make our way through life. No one's better than the other, and holding it all in this holistic perspective, which is what, Saturn in Pisces is calling us to do. Saturn um, in Pisces here really calling us to take that responsibility for the wholeness of all things and everything. Pisces is, the unbounded energy of expansion, but Saturn here is calling us to take responsibility for that unboundedness and to look at it from a holistic point of view with the perspective eye of responsibility, and that figurehead, that elder that Saturn is here. Saturn, this is the last part of this cycle. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. So how do we step in, take responsibility of really the true elder in our legacy of how do we need, to look at everything as a whole and knowing that everybody's on a journey to wholeness and we all have a fucking story. Like no one journeys through this world without some kind of wounding or story. And can we hold that not just for us, which is the narcissistic point of view, but can we bring it to that Libran synergy of seeing each other's real sore bits and honoring each other in this Libran way of working together? And how do we heal that? But it's going to take courage, just courage and communication. Like we need to speak to this or need to communicate with each other in a harmonious way. Otherwise, it will rock, everything will shake to the ground. Like it won't be very pleasant, especially with Pluto here and its last degrees of Capricorn. 4 more weeks, that's it. After, a 15-year transit, 4 more weeks. And this is it for our lifetime, that this Pluto is a 260 something year cycle. So this is really ending out some big storylines in terms of that Capricornian work. What is work? What is responsibility? It's ruled by Saturn. It really rules like the patriarchy as well in its lower density version. In its higher, more lighter version, it is planting the new seeds. It's planting a legacy for times to come. It's cardinal earth. It's like, what have you put to the compost that's going to hold these seeds in the dark, waiting for the right conditions to crack? And this is a part of that replanting or reworking the soil to be able to plant new seeds for a legacy for the next generations. And as we've spoken about on this channel, the next 2 years is really, really big because we've got all the outer planets moving to the new signs, new energies coming in. So this energy of, Earth and, water is really going to be moving into air and fire, and it will move fast and quick. And if we are still hanging on to the past, we're just going to, it feels like things will be going, we'll be moving so fast that we're just not going to be able to keep up with it. And so releasing this old density energy, the heaviness of, you think of, just thinking of Dr. Joe Dispenza and his timeline of emotion, not timeline, but densities of emotions, and how you got shame at the bottom and anger, and it sort of goes up to a bit of a neutrality. And then you sort of move into more peace and joy and harmony and, love and more love, which is sort of that higher energetic realms. To use that as your navigational system, what brings me joy and what doesn't bring me joy, and how do I contribute to that? So one of the questions that we've been asking in the invoking Anana journeys, this round, because we're going down into the descent, is how have you kept this wounding alive? And so that is responsibility that helps that synergy to work. So we need to take responsibility here, which is what Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn's final showdown is showing us. And also Saturn in Pisces, that responsibility, that elder perspective that we need to call in now and have the courage to step into, which means looking at a mirror of ourselves, knowing that everything is a reflection, knowing what's above is below, is within is without, truly, because it is the law of nature, that is the law of universal law, is that everything is a reflection of each other, because that we live in a holographic universe. And to look at from that perspective, it's like, right, what do I see that I don't like that other people are doing, or what I'm seeing in the world? Where is that within me? And this is a part of the Aries North Node and Chiron, and coming back and looking at that symbolic relationship going back and forth until everybody can move forward in that peace and those higher vibrational energies of joy and peace and love. What is it do you want to see in the world? Do you want to see fighting and anger and shame and guilt? Like, we need to bring this up now to really look at this. And it's here. I mean, the fact that we've still got wars and horrific things going on around the world, like, child trafficking and, oh, ethnic cleansing, and, you name it. The fact that we've still got this in the world means that it is residing within us. And so the deeper, and this is Black Moon Lift, the more courage that we have to come back in and look at that and take responsibility of how we've kept that alive within us, will help heal everything and bring in a more that synergetic relationship to be able to move forward into these new times that are coming together. Because we're all going. It's just how easeful do we go? And it's up to us as individuals to turn the mirror around and look at it, how it is reflected into us, and what are we putting out there, and how are we viewing and how are we holding. So if you want peace and love and joy in your life, start start tuning your dial to that, start looking for that. And if there is a reflection that comes up that you don't like, sit with that, have the fucking courage to sit with that, and keep going, and until you're able to neutralize it. And it's going to take all of us looking at it with each other and together to be able to move forward in more harmoniously and easefully. So this is it. I feel like buckle in. We're in for a really wild journey. We do have this Uranus, which is, creating change on the earth, earthly realms, this fixed earth that's been shaken up, making this is a harmonious aspect 120 degrees. This is still working in the background, with Pluto, these big outer players of Uranus and Pluto, transformation Pluto. Nothing's ever the same again when Pluto's been working through your chart. Uranus, again, nothing's ever the same when Uranus is being like that. That's change, like sudden changes, electricity shifting forever. And these two are working together, pushing us along into getting us ready for what's to come. And we can choose what's to come. You know, how much are we gripping on to the past? Or can we just let it go and just go, you know what? This feels really, very dense energy. Let's work together and let's have the courage to look at each other and look at ourselves so we can all move through it in a more harmonious, more elevated, and easeful way. One of the things that I always encourage those who work with me is make sure you put ease and grace in front of all the things that you do, because if you don't, remembering that words are spells, and especially with Venus, I mean Mercury right here in the mix at this eclipse, to be very careful of what you wish for, and to know that you are actually your energy. You affect the field around you, which then ripples out to the field of the universe. Like, you are the universe, you are a galactic citizen, um, and to know that what you're saying has power. And so how do you choose that power? And that's also a part of that synergy, that know that you're affecting the whole entire universe, the galaxy, through your actions and words. And so choose wisely and carefully how we navigate that. And again, that involves looking at ourselves and knowing ourselves and how we speak and what triggers us, and what brings us joy, and to know ourselves deeply is really such a key to all of this. Chiron, knowing your own mythology opens the key to the healer, which is Chiron here opposite this new moon eclipse. What also is forming, and we will see this throughout the month. I've just finished recording with the incredible Grace Funk, the Sentient Sky podcast for October. And what really struck us as we were doing that is these grand water trines between Scorpio areas of your chart, Pisces, which is mutable water, and Cancer, which is cardinal water. So we've got these three water element modalities here, from, cardinal, which is the beginning of something. Fixed water is Scorpio, which is like really going down deep and going down deep again and deep again. And then coming up to be mutable and transformed and transferred out into the cosmos and Pisces. And so these water ground trines are really supportive, showing the way. And in this, what will be quite a very, a chaotic month, like it just felt super chaotic, a lot of awkward sort of quincunxy sort of energies for those who know astrology. But leading up to this Aries full moon too, which is present with Eris and Chiron, it's a lot of energy moving around that's not comfortable. And this is a part of what this eclipse is stirring up, the unseen realms, together with Pluto here, and then just stirring it up, to create something new, but coming into center and, just feeling the flow. And if we can move into the flow and move with the energy, it will be much easier. So, invite whatever's coming up. Don't resist it, because it's the flowing that is required, not the fire. The fire is chaotic energy. The fire in the air in this month is very chaotic. But if you go with the flow, you will come out of it so much more graceful, and it will be much easier for you to navigate. So just going with the flow, inviting what's coming out in, to look at it, not to push it away, to invite it in and say, well, how do we sit with this together? And I'm struck by this trine here at this new moon, with Mars and Venus trine at 120 degrees, this harmonious relationship between the masculine energy. Now, that's not gendered. It's that masculine energy within us, all of us, and the feminine energy within us, also like that polarity. And how do we come together in a harmonious flow with the more action orientated version of ourselves, and the more sit with and be with and listen with, and that softness and that beauty way. Like, how do we do that and take responsibility, Saturn in Pisces, and be supported and feel the supported on the unseen realms, Pisces, in this transformational process? It is a time of great metamorphic process. We are bursting, really dissolving Pisces, Neptune, 20 last degrees. It's reviewing the what needs to be dissolved. Um, but it's a big new moon. But the opportunities are here. If you take them, if you lean into them and invite them in, and have courage of the heart to listen to another with heart, and also listen to ourselves with heart. So really bringing some compassion, which is not easy for Lilith to do, but if she's been heard in that and seen in her angst, um, that will create revolutionary change. I mean, it's already happening, revolutionary change, but how do we navigate that with more ease? We just come and lean in and go with the flow, being with what is, not how we want it to be, not changing anything, just listening and finding stillness in that holding, and feeling the unseen realm supporting us in the process. Okay, that is big. May you journey well in all of this, knowing that this is not this is not new information. This information has been traveling with us for a while and will continue to do so. But how well do we move through it is how well we can put and see ourselves and see another, and really lean into how we can hold each other and work together to make more harmonious relationships, with and watching our own triggers within that. Okay, there we go. That's it for this new moon in Libra and eclipse. It's a big one, but is a part of the clearing out that we need to do in preparation for what's to come over the next few years, which will be huge. And that, this is setting the scene for that to come. So how well we do this, and lean in, and sure, there's going to be some scratchy bits in there, but the invitation is to soften into those scratchy bits and to look at it with curiosity. And I think that is a good word for this month, is to view everything with curiosity, holding ourselves, as the priestess way, and leaning in and listening to each other and holding ourselves within that. That's the symbolic, that symbiosis relationship of holding ourselves and holding each other to be able to move forward together. So if you want to work with me, you can join the Temple of Nuit Patreon. I'll put a link to this below. I'm also doing one-on-one astro readings. I've had some incredible chart readings recently. It's been so powerful. One-on-one holistic counseling. Also, we are doing a Wild Earth Magic Wilderness Immersion. So where we go out and sit with country for 11 days out just past the Grampians in Victoria, and listen, really listen to ourselves and to the land and to the sky and to the waters, to the animals, to the trees. We really sit and listen, but it's also listening in community as well with each other in the healed sisterhood. So that is happening. There's still places. If you are feeling the call to do that at this time, it will be friggin' amazing. The Temple of Anana. So we will be starting, supported by Ali Riverstar and myself, at the end of January. We're starting a new journey, and there may be an opportunity for a men's group to, guided by the power animal stag. So that has certainly been coming up for me. So we will see what happens. Again, that leaning in to, looking at each other with curiosity and holding all perspectives so we can all move forward together. Go gentle under this eclipse, let go, do some big ceremony of releasing what no longer serves, what doesn't bring harmony into your life, both within and without, and journey well. Much love. Bye.